The ongoing unrest in Kazakhstan has been having some unexpected consequences for the financial world, particularly for cryptocurrency investors. Well, here to explain is France 24 business journalist Bryan Quinn.
Sure.
Bryan, Bitcoin has been getting a bit of a pummeling this week. Just tell us how exactly that's all related to what's been going on in Kazakhstan.
So, Sharon, when these protests really started to intensify across Kazakhstan in early to midweek this past week, the government did what autocratic regimes often do when faced with a mass uprising. It shut down the internet nationwide. And when it did that, it knocked somewhere between 15 and 20% of the world's entire Bitcoin mining capacity completely offline. Bitcoin mining, of course, involves specialized computers running highly complex equations on this networked ledger on the internet called the blockchain. So if the internet doesn't work, it's down. Now, the price of Bitcoin, as we see here, quickly tumbled to a low that it has not seen since this past September. It's currently trading around $41,500 each. In fact, over the past year, Kazakhstan has become the world's second largest Bitcoin mining location in the entire world after the US, and that is due in large part to a ban on cryptocurrency mining in neighboring China this past fall. That kicked off last September's low point sell-off. Essentially, when China cracked down on cryptocurrencies, the country's miners who were operating there looked for a nearby location with cheap electricity. They found it right next door in Kazakhstan. They were also, however, looking for political stability, which Kazakhstan had been known for up until this past week. It must be said, though, even before this, Kazakh authorities were themselves looking to set some new rules on crypto mining, including new taxes. So the environment is definitely changing for cryptocurrency miners in Central Asia.
But Bryan, the unrest that we've been seeing in Kazakhstan, it's not the only challenge for Bitcoin right now?
Indeed, it's not. In fact, recent inflationary trends have been having some fallout on the cryptocurrency markets as well. What is happening is that central banks, most notably the U.S. Federal Reserve, they're starting to pull back from policies that have essentially injected massive amounts of cash into the global financial system. Now, that has helped to prop up the global economy during the pandemic. However, consumer prices are now hitting, they're rising at rates that we haven't seen since the 1980s. A lot of inflation around the world. The Fed, especially in the U.S., is getting ready to turn off that money pump, and that's hitting a lot of high-risk assets, particularly cryptocurrencies, which in general tend to benefit from a glut of liquidity, easy cash. People put it into high-risk assets like crypto. Now, the Fed is also signaling some interest rate hikes coming down the pike in 2022. That's going to make bonds and safer investments more attractive and take some of the wind out of crypto sales in all likelihood.
Would you say the future is looking pretty grim for Bitcoin, or is there some ray of hope?
Well, it's hard to say. It's not necessarily. You remember we were talking about these recent lows in China in September after China banned crypto mining. Well, within 2 months of that move, Bitcoin was back up to all-time highs of around $68,000 in November. A lot of observers are expecting that this unrest in Kazakhstan will, in fact, continue to push more miners towards the West, in particular towards the U.S. Texas, the state of Texas in the U.S. in particular, has become a big hub for Bitcoin mining. That's due in large part to cheap energy prices. Unlike in Kazakhstan, in fact, a lot of that energy comes from renewables in Texas. Now, there are still significant environmental concerns about cryptocurrency mining. Recent studies have shown that Bitcoin mining alone is using enough electricity to undo any of the benefits that we've seen from electric vehicle rollouts so far. A very disturbing statistic there, but still, given Bitcoin's now fairly established status as a currency, there are a lot of analysts who are still expecting to see it hit as high as $100,000 each in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, remarkable. So from around the 40 mark right up to 100,000 perhaps.
Always a volatile asset, Bitcoin, a roller coaster.